Formula One heads from one sprint weekend in Shanghai to another in Miami, Florida. We're here at the Hard Rock Stadium, the Miami International Autodrome, for round 6 of the 2024 Formula One season, dominated by Max Verstappen. And it is 6th stop on the calendar. Verstappen winning the opening 4 out of 5. Sainz winning in Australia. Now we're here at round 6. After this, it's Emilia-Romagna, followed then by Monaco to round out May. June sees us in Canada, along then with Spain and Austria. July sees the halfway stage and the British Grand Prix, then a little break before Hungary and Belgium takes us to the summer break. August sees us in the Netherlands with a brief stopover in Italy, that takes us to September, with Azerbaijan and Singapore taking us out. October takes us back to COTA for the United States Grand Prix, then over to Mexico. November sees us round out the season in Brazil, Las Vegas, and then we take out with Qatar into December with Abu Dhabi on the 8th. In the driver standings, Max Verstappen leads on 110 points, Sergio Perez on 85, Charles Leclerc 76 to Carlos Sainz 69, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri 58 to 38, George Russell's on 33 to Claire Alonso, who's on 31, Hamilton on 19 with Stroll on 9. Sonoda has 7, 6 for Behrman, and then 4 for Hulkenberg and 1 for Magnussen. Albon, Ocon, Zhou, Ricciardo, Gasly, Bottas, Sargent, still with no points on the board. Red Bull lead on 195 points to Ferrari's 151. McLaren have 96, Mercedes on 52. Aston Martin are 5th with 40, and then it's a big drop before RB have 7, Haas have 5, Williams, Alpine and King Sauber still no points for those 3 teams after the opening 5 races, despite both being close in the opening stage. Alpine though, still with one of the worst cars on the grid. Let's take a look around the Miami International Autodrome as well here in Florida. 3.362 miles, 19 turns, 3 DRS zones as well. It's a challenge for the drivers, but it's a nice flowing track. Get a good exit out of the hairpin, booted hard with the DRS open and hurtle down towards turn 1. Heavy braking zone as well after the start-finish straight from 8th gear. Spot your braking zone, down, 2nd gear. Back on the revs halfway through. Balance the curves, quite single file through here. No chance for a double overtake before you fly into turns 4, 5, 6 and 7. A bit of a touch of the wall on the inside. Can't bounce all back through nicely, but the track here, as you pass the fake marina, just wants to throw you out wide, so hug the inside line as best you can. Hurtle down now towards turn 11, 2nd DRS zone on the track as well. Always trying to remember exactly where the opportunistic braking point will come. Not at 100, not at 70. You try and brake at 50 metres to go before the apex of the corner. Down from 8th again to 2nd gear. Car wants to throw you wide as you come into the narrowest part of the track as well, through the Red Bull chicane at the top of the hill. Uphill, side brake, underneath the motorway, all in 2nd gear. 3rd DRS zone on the track then activated, the longest straight on the entire circuit. Opportunity for overtaking as you blast past the line of trees next to the canal. Can you get a perfect opportunity to sling it up the inside? Braking here is hard because you want to lock up and go straight on. It's a tight exit with the wall coming towards you. DRS open again, power to the line, and that is a lap at the Miami International Autodrome in Florida. Hello everybody, welcome to the Miami Grand Prix, and it is time for the sprint race to get underway. The pit lane opens in 3 minutes time and the cars will venture out onto the circuit. Alongside me in the commentary box is Omi, and Omi, looks like we're going to have a quite interesting sprint. Yes, it's Max on pole, but yesterday so many drivers out of position on the grid, we should be in for a thrilling ride. And first of all, welcome back, I hope you're feeling better.
And yes, we're going to be in for an interesting sprint race. Max Verstappen may be on pole, but let's see what alongside is going to be able to do with no practice at all, but he was still able to get the car to second position. Sainz is going to be trying to make his way up through as well. And then you have Ricciardo and P4. It was a great effort by Daniel Ricciardo yesterday. Absolutely brilliant stuff by him. Lance Stroll beating Fernando Alonso as well. So that was great for him. With Albon's lap time deleted, it was the first time that Logan Sargent was actually even able to qualify ahead, starting in the pit lane. So Albon's in the pit lane today, but that in SQ1 and SQ2, it seemed like that they would be on pole in SQ3, and Max was even shocked that he was on pole. It was a lap full of mistakes, but it seemed like the conditions were very challenging, and Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri both are going to be trying to make their way up to the field. Piastri doing very well to say that he's only got half of the upgrades that Norris has.
Absolutely. So we've got Piastri right up there on the grid as well, but it's the front row starters. Charles Leclerc putting it in second as well. Ricciardo up into fourth place. That's going to be impressive. Excuse me. Yeah, that's going to be impressive from Danny Rick to see if he can get a podium here today.
Yeah, let's see if Daniel Ricciardo can get a podium. There could be a bit of chaos, of course. Maybe, possibly some rain could come in, but it will need to rain in the pre-race for it to come in for the start. But let's see if Ricciardo can do it indeed. It's Perez, and we also probably do expect Carlos Sainz and the McLaren to also get ahead. But if there is a bit of chaos, if there is safety cars, and if it's basically wild, then maybe Ricciardo could try get on the podium. But realistically, we'll probably be seeing Ricciardo go backwards. But that qualifying was a great effort by him yesterday.
Certainly is indeed. Certainly was a great effort as well. We've got another qualifying session coming up later in between as well. This is a sprint weekend, so we get a sprint race, then followed in by the normal qualifying, then going straight into as well, we're going to see later on. Fingers crossed, however, we're actually going to have some data for you. Because at the moment we don't, which is a big worry, because not everything has been fully set up for some reason. It seems that we've lost the timing 71 page of information. It hasn't yet loaded up. Pit lane's open in about a minute's time. So some graphics will be wrong when we hand over to Sky, just as a heads up, but we'll get them fixed ASAP and sent straight back over to you as well. Might show the results from the end of qualifying yesterday, which does give us the grid for today, which is, as everybody knows, the correct information to have. And I think as well, Omi, we're going to have a great race today.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a great sprint race. As per usual, even if Verstappen does dominate, we have cars out of position. We've already taken you through that. We're going to have drivers making their way through. Mercedes also could be another team that are just trying to make it work, trying to get it together. Let's see what they're going to be able to do, because and as it was mentioned last time, yesterday by Josh T as well in the session, that Mercedes always missing out, whether it's sprint qualifying or main qualifying, they're always sometimes missing out by the smallest of margins, and they're always going out in Q2, and you're even and we're even considering maybe are Mercedes still even a top team, but they still have quite a lot of work to do because they're consistently going out in these qualifying sessions, and the races aren't even going better. So they're going to screw up already, and then maybe also screw next season, and all of the focus now has to go into 2026 for them.
We know the information's wrong. We're working on to fix it. Let's head down there to the pit lane for the opener.
Welcome back. The sound of engines can mean one thing, that the pit lane is open. It's Ted.
Simon, yes, the pit lane is open, although I see an Alpine getting wheeled back into the garage. So I don't know if there's anything wrong there with Esteban Ocon, but it's mid-morning in Miami, Florida, the Sunshine State, famous for its oranges and grapefruits. But it was Max Verstappen who was top banana in sprint qualifying yesterday. As he said on the radio, lol, but let's see what's going to happen. And we see Charles Leclerc also out there. Was there actually some contact?
Yeah,
there?
he hit him.
I think there was.
Yeah, there was.
Wing damage.
Sorry if you didn't hear the team radio there. I didn't either. But just to remind you, 19 laps of the sprint race, no pit stops. Let's see if it will be the lull for Max Verstappen or it'll be OMG what happened there. But yeah, just to remind you that on the grid, Charles Leclerc second is surrounded by Red Bull drivers. Max Verstappen on pole, Charles Leclerc second, Sergio Perez just looking at Charles Leclerc ahead of him, and then behind Charles Leclerc, Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull Junior team, the RB. So David Croft, the question is, firstly, can Alpine repair all of that coming together with the Ferrari there? And secondly, can Ferrari steal the march on Red Bull in this little race we've got today?
You can continue. And
hello, Ted, from the commentary box here. Yes, welcome from the commentary box. I'm just keeping an eye on Charles Leclerc and his lap to the grid. He's been told by the team everything is okay. Esteban Ocon, as you might have seen, came out of his garage straight into the path of the Ferrari. He's broken his front wing. Now, if Alpine have got another front wing that is exactly the same as the one that is now broken, he'll be okay. If they haven't, he might have to start from the pit lane. We'll keep an eye on that. The stewards are looking at that incident for an unsafe release, and it was unsafe. Ocon went straight into the path of Charles Leclerc, who lines up on the front row alongside Max Verstappen, and those who watch Formula One regularly will realise that that is the third time this season that's happened. It happened for the first 2 Grand Prix of the season. Ocon is out on the track, and so they've changed the front wing, and I'm still a bit unsure as to whether it's a different one that is now being warped to the grid, or different spec, I should say, or the same spec as the one that got damaged. But we'll keep an eye on that one. Daniel Ricciardo, Ted mentioned, lining up 4th on the grid. There's 3 current or former Red Bull drivers in the top 4 on the grid. Lando Norris is out of position. His time in SQ2 yesterday would have been good enough for pole position had he have replicated it in the SQ3 session, but he couldn't on the soft compound tyre. Alex Albon definitely starts in the pit lane. They've changed the suspension on his Williams, and this is the incident that involves Charles Leclerc and Esteban Ocon, and the stewards are looking at that.
the guy was completely sleeping. I don't know who that was. Even the mechanics were telling him to stop, I think.
Yeah, that looks like a slam dunk to me. We'll keep you up to date with any penalties that might be forfeited.
What do you think there, Romy, then, as well? That looks to me like it's going to be a slam dunk.
Yep, slam dunk, contact as well made.
Here's Ocon.
It did seem like he was sleeping a bit. Was Esteban Ocon?
So we will be swapping that front wing on the grid.
Swapping the front wing on the grid then, Omi.
Hello.
Hello, JT. How are you down at Thruxton?
Yep, there will be.
It's a bit windy, hello, and if that's not an unsafe release, I don't know what is.
Agree, 100%.
I'm with you on that, boys. Let's head back over to Sky.
You get given the all clear
Anthony.
from your #1 mechanic, and but he should have seen the Ferrari surely coming his way and slammed the brakes on. So yeah, you'd have to say ultimately driver error.
Well, yeah, and what damage has been done to the Ferrari as well. It looked like he hit the tyre, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem, but you're not going to want to use that tyre.
No, so it will, yeah, exactly. But yeah, nothing that Charles could have done in that moment. He moved.
Yeah, look at Charles Leclerc. He wants to see what the damage was. He obviously felt it, and I'm happy to say for Charles' sake that it is only the wheel and the rim that's damaged. So the Ferrari mechanics are just checking the floor. You can see the floor is intact. It was just Alpine front wing to Ferrari right rear tyre and rim. So the mechanics will take a look at it. They, of course, will have an opportunity to change that tyre. You wouldn't want to go into the sprint race with that, with a risk of a puncture. The rim is quite sturdy. I mean, it can survive being clonked by an Alpine front wing. But in any case, they'll get permission to change that. Whether they can, whether that was the set at which they were going to start the sprint race anyway is debatable. Look, here's Fred Vasseur, Simon, come over to have a look at any of the damage. He's concerned about the diffuser. That you can't change quickly, but a wheel set, no problem. I'll go and see what's going on with the Alpine. Simon, back to you.
Okay, perfect. You might not have heard this team radio from Charles Leclerc. Let's have another listen in.
Did you touch?
Of course. What the hell was he doing? I think luckily it's only the wheel. Well, let's go quickly to the grid and we check.
Yeah. All good on data. You can continue. And
So there we go, confirmation all good on the data. You can continue, but obviously they'll have to check and see if there is anything.
Yeah, you got very, very lucky there to have all good on data, which is great news, but that was a bit alarming. There's Logan Sargent starting 18th in this race for the F1 sprint, and he did qualify 20th as well. But Albon starts 19th, and Bottas has got a 3-place grid penalty for driving unnecessarily slowly as well. Let's have the latest then with F1 Explained from a guide to Formula 1.
You might have heard teams and drivers talking about Parc Fermé and Parc Fermé conditions. But what is this park and why is it Fermé? First, because they invented motor racing, it's French, and it translates literally as closed park. Physically, it's this, a fenced-off area into which the cars are driven after qualifying and the race, where no team members are allowed to touch them except to attach cooling fans under the strict supervision of the FIA. And the purpose of Parc Fermé is to stop the teams from working on or changing their cars, either because they're waiting to pass legality checks, or to satisfy F1's rule that the car you qualify in has to be the car you race. This is to stop the teams building expensive, quick, but not durable qualifying cars and then having the mechanics work late rebuilding it into a race car that will do a 2-hour Grand Prix. Now, once the cars are weighed, measured and scrutinised after qualifying, they're returned to the teams, but they're still in Parc Fermé conditions, which means the teams can only check them over and ask the FIA for permission if they need to replace any damaged parts. And to make sure the teams don't sneakily change any bits of bodywork, the FIA put these little stickers on every wing, side pod and engine cover, just before Parc Fermé begins. And overnight, between qualifying and the race, the cars sleep in these bags. They're actually tamper-proof covers which are sealed by the FIA to ensure that nobody sneaks in the middle of the night and changes the setup. And look, here is the seal. I've got one. This is an actual FIA seal that they seal up the bags that the cars sleep in Parc Fermé conditions overnight. You get the end here, you feed it through the back. If I can do that, there you go. And it won't go if I do it properly. Once it goes in there, you can't get it off. And if you decide that you want to take your car out of Parc Fermé, you literally have to you have to cut the FIA seal, and that mandates you starting the Grand Prix from the pit lane. For everybody else, though, Parc Fermé conditions end at the start of the race on Sunday. But on a sprint race weekend like this, there is a break between the end of the sprint race on Saturday morning and the start of Grand Prix qualifying on Saturday afternoon to allow the teams to change the setup if they want to. And that's Parc Fermé Explained.
And one of those teams, undoubtedly, Anthony, that will be changing their setup when it comes to qualifying proper, if you like, will be McLaren.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of this new format, this new sprint format. It allows you, after the race today, to then take the car back out of Parc Fermé, change it for the up-and-coming qualifying for the main Grand Prix.
Now let's pick up on a few other headlines. We haven't actually really eulogised about Daniel Ricciardo's drive from yesterday. We touched upon it, yes, but fourth, that's the best in any format since I think it was Mexico City last year.
It's so important for him right now. 6 races in, you know, to get a good sprint qualifying is massively important for Daniel. And fourth, who knows what can happen here? Starting from fourth, they've not really done any long runs. Maybe he's going to be there fighting for the top 3. Who knows?
And alongside him on that second row of the grid, this is the track, we know it, where Sergio Perez was on pole position last year. I think he got into the 126s. And then his season just kind of nosedived when Max took over from him.
I feel like with Perez this year, though, Simon, that he started accepting his position in the team, that he's there to be the best number 2 driver he can possibly be. As Christian Horner said in his own words, be the best Sergio Perez you can be. Don't try and beat Max. And I think he's approached this season very differently, and I'm seeing a much more stable, consistent performance from him.
I agree. Always going to get to that point, though, Jensen, do you think?
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, for this sprint race, that's the fight to watch. Checo and Daniel. It's quite an important fight, I think, in this race.
Good point. Really good point. Okay, let's head back out onto the grid. Danica and Ted are going to have a wander.
Thank you very much, Simon. Yes, Danica and I have come down to Esteban Ocon's car to just check what's going on. And Danica, you saw something interesting. Rob Cherry, the crew chief over here, having a word with the mechanics.
Yeah, it did. He was having a conversation, and I thought maybe this isn't the right time to actually address the thing that happened and let's just fix the car. But, you know, it looked like he was talking to them about what happened. And I think, as you said, he pulled out kind of slowly. So maybe the mechanic did send him out at the right time, but he didn't go fast enough. However, is this the right time to pinch the last little bit out of it? Does the race actually start on pit lane? Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, what's that? You know, what's that like when you're given the signal to go? You've just got to go. But if you've got a problem with your clutch or something, then you can only go as fast as the car will let you. Surely it wasn't Esteban's
True, but
fault.
he'll know how fast Esteban normally comes out of the garage.
Yeah,
and so he's timing it based on that repetition that he's seen hundreds of thousands of times.
Yep.
So if he came away slowly, that could have been it, and it could have honestly just been a little bit of a racing thing.
I wonder if it's a sign of the kind of race we're going to have.
I hope it's a sign of the things to come. These sprints can be really, really aggressive, and they really are a sprint.
So they have changed. Let's make our way forward, Danica. They have changed that front wing. It is exactly the same specification as the one that was damaged. They got permission from the FIA to change it. It's obviously damaged. Yeah, it's not like they ran out of new spec front wings, so that's fine. Right, as we see the amount of cooling, and take a look on George Russell's car of how much they've had to open that car up to keep it cool. Give us an idea of how you would approach this differently for a 19-lap race, half-hour lap race, as opposed to like a 2-hour race. Would you approach it with a different mindset?
Absolutely, and a much more aggressive mindset. I think the one factor is that there's not that much rubber down on the track, and so that is going to wear out the tires a little bit quicker. So I would approach this. I would drive as hard as I could for the most part to see how hard you could push the tires. Obviously, you want to have a good finish here today in the sprint, but what you really want is a good day on Sunday, and so it'd be nice to see just how far you could push these tires.
Let's talk about Nico Hülkenberg. It's funny, isn't it, to see a Haas. I mean, all credit to Haas. They've got a good car this year, but a Haas in front of both Mercedes. Ouch. Well, ouch for Mercedes, but...
Let's give a little bit of credit to Nico Hülkenberg. He can be absolutely fantastic in qualifying, and so this is not uncommon to see him have a good run like this. But Mercedes definitely never wants to see anyone in front of them, let alone, of course, a Haas, who I'm sure they feel like they should be beating every single weekend. I think what this does is shows just how much Mercedes really is struggling, that both of the cars are behind him.
Okay, looks like Ocon's got a penalty. Let's see if Checo's got a quick word. What do you think Checo is? Oh, he's making his way to the front of the grid. But yeah, so Ocon has a 10-second time penalty. And bearing in mind, sorry, go on.
No, speaking of Checo, I mean, he's had a really solid start to the season, and it'll be nice to see how long he can keep that going.
Okay, so we've got to Aston Martin here, and that's an interesting one, isn't it? How do you assess Fernando Alonso in the last sprint? Had an absolute nightmare. Is it really easy? He ended up with a puncture. He didn't even complete the race. Easy for him to put that out of his mind and just get going, even just 2 weeks later?
Yeah, he's been around a long time. He's the most veteran out here. But what's interesting is just to see the up and down of Aston Martin over the course of last year and into this year. They had a storming start to the season last year. Really, really good, lots of podiums. And then they took a big dip. And to the point where it was shocking how slow they were at some points in time. Even just going wholesale changes and starting the race from pit road so that they could do that. And now having a really good start to the season this year. It's good to see, and we love watching, how hard he drives. I mean, it is so fun. Fernando he hasn't lost any of his any of his spark, that's for sure.
He really hasn't. Right, we're going to be back in a sec because I want to get some driver psychology insight from you. But in the meantime, let's have a quick word with Oscar Piastri. He's with Nats.
So, Oscar, how are you feeling about the sprint? Yesterday probably promised a little bit more from McLaren. What can you do today?
I think we can make a bit of progress forward. We looked pretty quick at points yesterday, but everyone seemed a bit inconsistent. So we'll see, but we've got a couple of cars ahead of us that we think we can get.
Keeping it nice and cool.
Yes, thank you.
Good luck.
Cool and calm as always, Oscar Piastri. 10-second penalty as confirmed for Esteban Ocon for that pit lane infringement and the connection with Charles Leclerc. Obviously, all the penalties from sprint qualifying only apply to the sprint, and obviously this will apply to the sprint too.
Exactly, and without any pit stops or planned pit stops in this race, that's going to hurt you even more. So yeah, to follow on from what Danica was saying, actually, the reason why you have to be so aggressive in the sprint compared to normal circumstances is because of the lack of pit stops, of course. When you see a gap on track, even the slightest gap, you have to go for it. You can't rely on an overcut or an undercut in the pit stops to make that happen.
Can we have a word on Lance Stroll and how important a day that was for him yesterday? As you quite rightly pointed out when we heard from Fernando Alonso, that interview that he gave, he wanted to go home, he wasn't happy.
You know when Fernando's been out-qualified by his teammate, even before you look at the result, right? Because his demeanour is completely different. It doesn't happen very often, so yeah, it's nice to see Lance up there, and both Aston Martins, reasonably inside the top 10. But it's been such a mixed-up session in qualifying that I think we're going to see a really interesting race here.
Let's hope so. Lando Norris went wrong when he went onto the softs yesterday. He's Natalie.
Oh, that's lovely. That is so lovely and cool. Can I stay here, please? I know that yesterday was disappointing for you, but you had the pace as evidenced in SQ2.
Yeah.
What does that mean for today?
That I can go forwards. Yeah, the car was very good yesterday. We kind of just lost it a bit on the soft tire in Q3, but I think we know why, and we will try resurrect it for quali later today. But I think the pace on the mediums was strong, and hopefully that shows again today.
So given your performance on the mediums, is that the tyre for the sprint?
For the sprint? I don't know.
Good luck.
Yeah, good old Lando. Danica doesn't want to get into tyre chat. It's probably going to be in the medium, but who cares when we've got drivers like Daniel Ricciardo so close to the front of the grid. And look, if we just develop, if we pan left for a second, there's Ricciardo. Let's pan left for a second and see the start lights. See how close he is. You could throw with a fairly decent throw of an American football.
I mean, I couldn't, but, you know, someone could.
He's so close to the front of the grid.
Close.
And what's going on in his head? What's the psychology when he's had a nightmare? He's had a nightmare this front of the season. He's getting so much better.
It's true. And let's not forget, for the race tomorrow, he has a 3-grid penalty. So, you know, he's got that lurking. So I'm sure it feels so good right now. I mean, he's smiling. He's listening to music. You know, the Daniel Ricciardo we love to see. But he's nervous. I mean, if that's me, I'm nervous. You know, the further to the front that you are, the more you have to lose. Like the car has this speed in it. Let's hope that as a driver you can uphold that, you can maintain that, or at least the most of it. And you know, do we expect him to be able to stay here in 4th the whole time? I don't know, but as a driver you think if the car has this much speed, this is possible.
Okay, and just a final thought on Charles Leclerc. As we look to the left, we can see Charles Leclerc in that nice blue helmet getting ready. Would you just go all out? You've got nothing to lose. This doesn't count for the Grand Prix, doesn't count for the World Championship. He just really wants to beat Max once this year.
Everybody does. It's and we all want to. I think as fans, you know, so many of us. I mean, I talk about this plenty outside of the racetrack, and we do want to see some competition and somebody else win. And I think that, you know, one thing I find to be really impressive with Charles, and we saw this on some of the in-car, is that his ability to brake really late is impressive. And we saw that at the end of last year. I'm thinking about Vegas at the end of the year. Came up with an awesome pass at the end of the straightaway on Checo, and you know, maybe he'll be able to use some of that here today and throw some, can I call them dive bombs?
Yeah,
maybe?
Let's see it. Listen, Danica, brilliant stuff. Thank you very much. Let's hear from George Russell.
Tough day for you and the team yesterday, but what can you hope for today?
Hope for a better day, for sure. I think we'll be able to move forward in this sprint race. Obviously, we need to make sure we have a good qualifying this afternoon as well, but looking forward to the race.
Keep cool.
Yeah, I should imagine looking forward more to qualifying and trying to sort out what went wrong yesterday for both of the Mercedes drivers.
Yeah, this is basically a test session for them, isn't it? Trying to understand what the car's doing in the race here so they can change the car for qualifying in the race tomorrow.
Yeah, I think Mercedes and McLaren as well, in different sessions, albeit, suffered with a very similar thing. From one session to the next, getting the balance wrong, not reading the conditions right and the tyres right, and possibly overdriving as well. The heat build-up was immense on the tyres yesterday, and that caught both teams out.
Very quickly on Nico Hulkenberg, Ted pointed it out there, but for him to be ahead of both of those Mercedes, and he's having a good season in a car that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is always surprising how well they can qualify in the Haas. The race pace isn't there so much. Maybe in the sprint it will be, because it's just one stint. But it is impressive. When you think of the mighty Mercedes, and he's out-qualified both drivers, and both drivers did a very good job yesterday. They're within half a tenth of each other.
Confidence boosted by the fact that he'll be moving to Audi when they change from Sauber next year. Right, how can anybody get ahead of Max Verstappen? How do you get ahead of him?
Well, I think the only thing you can do, Simon, is just go for a gap when you see it. With best hope is Charles Leclerc. He's got the car to do it today. The car has been good around here.
We also don't know what these tyres are going to do after 15 laps, for example. So hopefully there's a lot of wear and we'll see a dive bomb.
Keep an eye out then. You can hear it is loud down here on the grid. It's not even race day yet, but it just shows you the popularity of these sprint weekends out here in the USA. That's next. Don't go away.
Yeah, party in the USA certainly is going to be interesting, and the tension starting to rise, Omi. We're all set up here in the commentary box, and fingers crossed this could be a better race. We've got effectively 3 Red Bulls alongside 2 Ferraris inside the top 5, and they've got to be feeling, especially Charles Leclerc, that he's going to be ganged up on down to turn 1.
Yep, absolutely. He is going to be ganged up on. Verstappen may give him the squeeze, allows Perez. Ricardo's going to be in there as well. They could possibly try and get through as well. But yeah, Leclerc's got to try and go for the gap on Verstappen. And the sprint races, the amazing thing of that this year is that if Red Bull are going to be beaten in a race, the best drivers have is the sprint races. So definitely... one exciting thing about it this year. So let's see if Charles Leclerc is going to be able to try get alongside Verstappen, try out drag him into the first corner. If not, can he try stay close and do what he did last year in Abu Dhabi, which he didn't pull it off, but he had a go, and that was try to get past on the straights. So let's see if he's going to be able to stay close, and maybe if he can't make the move at turn 1, make it later on in the lap. And maybe if there is degradation, we've seen Leclerc's been absolutely brilliant. Now, while he's maybe not the best season compared to his teammate, he's still been good with his tyres. So let's see if we can try and keep his tyres in good shape and attack late in the race.
It's going to be a 19-lap race. It's going to be 1 hour to do the duration. 57 laps will be the race distance tomorrow. We effectively run 1/3 of the race. 1,000 of them will be underway. This is actually going to be coming in. It'll be 100 kilometers going into the distance out of the 307 that we usually run. In total, with the 20 cars running as well, they're going to have hopefully a lot more overtaking. Single tyre use, of course, going into it, so all should be well. Double yellow at sector 15. Now it's gone green, and now just a yellow flag coming out in that back half of the track as well, I'm noticing, but it has now headed back into green. Just a little bit of a flicker coming on. But here it comes then. It's time for the sprint race for Formula One here at the Miami Grand Prix. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. The track surface apparently is slippery in Sector 15, but we're all set to go. It's Max Verstappen on pole position for the second sprint race of the season, and it's the first here in America. It's time for the Miami Grand Prix sprint race. So we're getting ready, Omi. Just quickly from you, what do you think we're going to see? Who do you think is going to win the race?
I'm going to go for Leclerc is going to win the race. I think we're going to get a wild sprint race. Cannot wait for this one to begin. But before it's even begun, Esteban Ocon has got a 10-second penalty, so that will be added to his time. Just remember that for the end of the race as well. But it's going to be very exciting.
Here it comes then. It's the sprint race for the Miami Grand Prix. It's time to go sprinting in Miami. For the first time here at the Miami International Autodrome, we go sprinting. It's our second one of the year as we zigzag around the world. 24 stops and 6 sprint races make 30 races. It's round 6 of the season, and it's time to see exactly who's going to have the best opportunity for racing. It's a 5.412 kilometre circuit, and around it as well a total of 19 turns. Realistically, you feature around about 14 corners. Some of them are just open straights and moves into positions as well. Miami is gorgeous. A wonderful city that has been the venture of many movie and many a video game. The latest installment of the Grand Theft Auto series will return to Miami in 2025. And what a place it is. Miami Vice was the fantastic cop chase, but everybody is going to be chasing down Max Verstappen today after Charles Leclerc finishes in second place. The grid is set and is formed to venture in. It's 11:55. The race will start at lunchtime here in Miami, and it should be absolutely amazing. Alongside me in the commentary box is Omi, Megan Birch on her way in, and it looks fantastic, this track, doesn't it, Omi? And now, hopefully, we're going to have a better sprint than we have a better race.
Absolutely as well. The first race here in America out of 5 that we get, including the sprint races. We also go sprinting later on in the year in Austin, but we're getting all set and ready. And yeah, it definitely is such an amazing location for a race. While maybe a lot of people aren't a fan of the circuit, definitely the atmosphere is amazing around this circuit, and it has an amazing vibe to it every single year we come here.
And of course, they're all ready for it as we're getting ready to venture out onto the track. I can hear clown music in the background of my ears, actually, which is quite funny as well.
So can I.
I don't know why they haven't shown us the grid. Have you noticed yet? They haven't actually shown us the grid on the Sky feed.
Oh yeah, they haven't.
Yeah, there's no starting grid, so I don't know if they're planning it to run on the formation lap. So we'll wait to see. But no grid was formed. Hello, Megan. Come in. Put your microphone down there as well. And get anything in as well. Megan's saying she's got some information for us as well. What?
No, I just said I've got to grab something.
Oh, you've got to grab something. Well, off you go then. Get me a towel as well. I'm already sweating in this shirt. Go on. You're on the parade lap. Come on. Come on, Megan. They're past 40 seconds to go anyway until the green light goes on. And hopefully we should be in for an interesting one. Charles Leclerc will already be eyeing up Max Verstappen. We don't really need to walk through the grid. You can see the grid. And if you're listening to us on USRN as well, we'll go through it on the parade lap for you in case they don't run it through. Because we're about to launch into the formation lap as the green lights go on in 3, 2, 1. And away for the formation lap we go of the Miami Grand Prix sprint race. And the cars venture through turn 1. Into 2 and 3, round 6 of the season, and the sprint race is coming through. So we're hopefully going to have an interesting one.
Hopefully it's going to be a very exciting one. Yeah, indeed. Let's see if Max Verstappen is going to be able to hold the lead. I think he may need to look in his mirrors, but yeah, all of the Red Bull drivers inside the top 5, including Daniel Ricciardo, could try gang up on him as well.
Well, we haven't had it actually come on for the first time, so I guess we're going to have to go through it ourselves. Here's your starting grid for everybody wanting to know. Row 1 as well, that takes it with Max Verstappen on pole position once again for the sprint race. Charles Leclerc lines up alongside him in P2. Third on the grid sees Sergio Perez alongside Daniel Ricciardo in 4th. 5th sees Carlos Sainz alongside Oscar Piastri in 6th. Lance Stroll starts 7th alongside Fernando Alonso in 8th. Lando Norris is 9th and Nico Hulkenberg takes 10th. George Russell is 11th alongside Lewis Hamilton in 12th. Esteban Ocon's 13th with Kevin Magnussen 14th. Yuki Tsunoda's 15th and Pierre Gasly is 16th. Zhou Guanyu is 17th with Logan Sargent 18th. Alexander Albon is 19th and starting from the pit lane after a change to suspension gearbox. And Valtteri Bottas starts 20th after a 3-place grid penalty for driving unnecessarily slowly during the weekend as well. Further 10-second time penalty coming the way, though, Omi, for Esteban Ocon. He's got to contend with that as well during the race.
He does indeed. So both Red Bulls on the used medium compound of tyres, both Ferraris with new. So let's see if that is going to play any bit of a factor in this race. Definitely could do when it comes to the end of the race with the tyre maybe falling off the cliff. It will be interesting to see as well. But this is definitely going to be super exciting stuff. And Ocon, as you mentioned, already with a 10-second penalty.
Yep, and Max Verstappen leads, of course, on 110 points. Sergio Perez has 85, Charles Leclerc 76, Carlos Sainz on 69, Lando Norris on 58. They're the top 5 in the championship standings as well. Max Verstappen coming up to the line from the grid. Let's say good afternoon to Megan Birch alongside me in the commentary box here as well. Megan, ready for the sprinting for the first time here in Miami, second one of the year. You looking forward to a great race?
Yes, I was just noting down some things in my book.
Indeed, it could be. Yeah. You're
nice.
Oh, by the way, when Dad has his tea, can you do him chips in the air fryer?
Oh, okay. That'll come out nowhere. I can indeed. I'll do it for you.
I'm doing him pasty and peas.
All right. They're lining up on the grid then, ready to launch into turn 1. Remember, we've got everybody, it looks like, starting on the C3 mediums, apart from Sonoda and Sargent. They're starting on the C4 softs, and some have got old mediums on as well. Brand new mediums for Leclerc, Ricciardo, Sainz, Piastri, and then coming in as well for Ocon, Gasly, Zhou, Bottas and Albon. Everybody else is on used mediums as well, as we see Sargent, Zhou lining up at the back, Magnussen coming into position 2, last one on the grid. Well, that's on board with Logan Sargent, who did qualify 20th, but with Albon starting in the pit lane and Bottas starting 20th after a penalty, he lines up 19th. Albon lines up in the pit lane then. All eyes to the lights then. For the first time in Miami, we're going sprinting. 3, 4, 5, pause, action. Good start from the Red Bulls, great start from Charles Leclerc, but he's lost in the second phase. Perez is really forcing across as Verstappen and Leclerc side by side. Now Perez will get forced wide, and there's contact, McLaren round. Is that Piastri or Norris? I think it's Norris, because Piastri's so far.
Norris.
Yes, Norris has been spun round, and I believe that was by one of Lewis Hamilton, I think, in the mid-pack. So Norris is off in the first corner, broken rear suspension. It could be him out already as they fly through into the second sector. Verstappen leads from Leclerc, ready to Ricciardo, Perez, Sainz, Piastri up to 6th. Great start from him, but Lando Norris is stationary in turn 1. Hasn't moved so far yet, Megan, and I'm trying to see if there's any debris. Hülkenberg and Magnussen 7th and 8th. Hamilton dropped. I'm out. I got hit. Out goes Norris immediately. Look at Leclerc. He was forced into that pit wall, and he's all over the back of Max Verstappen. So suspension damage for Lando Norris as Albon is up to 18th. Alonso's down to 17th. Alonso qualified in 8th. I wonder if they made contact. They were side by side on the grid. Alonso was 8th. Lando was 9th. Hamilton was involved in 12th position. So I wonder, I saw a Mercedes involved in that as they come down. No sign of the safety car just yet. There it is. Safety car's deployed.
Multiple people have lost GPS.
Safety car through the pit lane. And yes, so many people have lost GG. Look, Stroll's down there too. Stroll's dropped down to 19th.
Alonso puncture.
Alonso with a puncture, so it was him involved. Stroll's dropped down. He's coming through turn 11 now as well. So Lance Stroll's involved in that, and out goes Lando Norris immediately.
I've seen both K-Mag and Verstappen have problems with their GPS.
Right. Well, what a start there, Omi, as they come through, and recovery vehicle on track at turn 1.
Yep, absolutely. We expected Leclerc to get the start. Verstappen just squeezed him, and that gave Perez the run round the outside. He then got forced wide by Leclerc, but such a disappointment for Lando Norris, who could have been on that pole position had it qualifying gone well for him in SQ3. Instead, in the sprint race, he's facing the wrong way and is out.
Let's take a look at Lando Norris. He got a great getaway, immediately goes to jump ahead of Fernando Alonso, pulls to the outside, and it's going to be Lance Stroll, and it is Lewis Hamilton, who sort of comes in too late, locks up, and hits the 2 Aston Martins who Constantino into Lando.
It means that Alonso literally was forced into... No, it was Stroll. I think it was...
Alonso and Stroll.
I think it was Fernando who was forced... No, it was Stroll who was forced into Lando.
Yeah, and Hamilton comes out of nowhere.
Because of
Lewis
Yeah, so Hamilton dive bombs Alonso. Alonso goes into Stroll, and Stroll hits Norris. Let's take a look at it at the start. So Watch out. So Hamilton starting down in 12th position. He's going to come up the inside, dirty side of the grid. Stroll turns in on Alonso. Hamilton comes out of nowhere. Then there's contact and Stroll hits. So that's a fault of Stroll turning in on Alonso and Hamilton coming up on the inside out of nowhere.
The main perpetrator here is Hamilton.
Yeah, because he dive bombed the inside. So watch. So he's got Hulkenberg.
Work?
Yeah, so he's got Hulkenberg alongside him. He's got nowhere to go.
There was a lock up there, which means other people had to slow down.
Yeah, let's hear from Lewis now.
There's a gap on the inside, so in for it.
And 9 times out of 10, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's going to cut it, I'm afraid, mister. Let's have a look at Lando Norris. So Stroll's ahead of him. He pulls the outside line. He gets a great traction. And then there's the concertina. And Lando's just wrong place, wrong time.
Poor Lando didn't even get to finish going round turn 1 before he got hit.
And that's Stroll out. Stroll's out of the race too.
Stroll's out.
Hang on a minute. Why is Norris under investigation by the stewards? What? Norris is under investigation for causing the collision.
For what? Being the victim of a drive-by getting hit?
Well, this is crazy, Omi. It's stewards being stewards, it seems.
Crazy indeed, but it's what we now expect from the stewards. But yeah, Hamilton went F123 dive bombing into turn number 1 on the AI, and there was contact between them, but that was a really, really frantic start. Logan Sargent really has done well on the start. He's up to P12, and Ricciardo inside the top 3 as well. And Daniel Ricciardo, who we mentioned, could he get a top 3? He is in third, but he's going to have to defend with Perez, Sainz, and Piastri, all looking very good. They'll be hoping on the restart.
Lando Norris, of course, here continues his woes. He ended 2022 in retirement following a collision with Pierre Gasly, and he exited Q1 in Saturday in 2023. But he did finish 17th last year. Zach Brown's on the pit wall.
Overly aggressive, couldn't slow down for the first corner, and drove into a couple cars that were already driving into themselves already.
Zach, the stewards are taking no further action. That's just come through. What's your reaction to that?
You know, first lap, first corner is always a bit tricky, but clearly there was some driver errors in there. So I'm not sure I agree with that decision.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by that one as well. People steaming in, claiming gaps and bumping into each other. You've got to keep your cars under control. What did Lando say on the radio in the first instance? Have we lost Zach?
Might have done.
I think.
Yeah, lost Zach.
There is a loss of Zach, and Lando doesn't even like this circuit. Not that much.
Best qualifying here was 8th in 2022. Best race was 17th. No further action. The safety car's coming in this lap as Sector 2 is clear. Run through the order then for you after the opening 2 laps. As there we go, lap 3 of 19. We finally got our graphics back. Verstappen leads coming into it as well as Megan.
Oh, Camila Cabello. Used to be in Fifth Harmony. Now a singer and actress.
This is why she's here, everyone.
Didn't know she'd gone blonde.
Verstappen leads, Leclerc second, Ricciardo stays third, Perez fourth, Sainz fifth, Piastri sixth, Hulkenberg seventh, Magnussen eighth. That's the points-paying positions. Hamilton, Tsunoda, the top 10. Gasly, Sargent, Zhou, Russell, Bottas, Albon, Ocon, Alonso, the finishers. Out of the race is Stroll and Norris.
I wonder why she didn't dye her hair blonde when she actually played Cinderella. Why?
I don't know.
But yeah, after. Just like... Okay.
Look, Megan, I'm just happy I managed to get somebody who vaguely I know, but Taylor's here tomorrow, that'll be fine. Coming to the restart then. Here, green flag, the safety car is in, and Max Verstappen is bunching up the field with Charles Leclerc right behind him. Look at that amazing Miami livery from the V-carb of Daniel Ricciardo. But when is Max going to put pedal to the metal as he coming down towards turn 17? I'm watching the throttle, I'm watching the throttle, I'm watching the throttle. He's at 62, into the braking zone of the exit. He's on the brake, he's riding the brake, he's yet to hit the throttle as he comes out. He hasn't hit it, now he's hit it. Down we go, we're racing again in Miami for the sprint race, and he hasn't caught Leclerc napping as he wanted to, as everyone now comes across the line.
Too predictable now.
Yeah, it is too predictable. Leclerc's gone right with him. Ricciardo's having to defend from Perez coming towards that braking zone at turn 1, but so far it's all looking good.
Following on with Hamilton there, who is coincidentally in 9th place, where Norris originally started, jumping in his grave so quick.
Look at the inside, the two Hasses doing battle. Magnussen v Hulkenberg as they will attack back through, and a nice restart there, Omi. But Leclerc crucially still within inside a second of Verstappen. DRS will be activated next lap.
Yep, crucially inside the 1 second indeed. And Magnussen having a half look on his teammate Nico Hulkenberg might give Lewis Hamilton the run as well. He's going to be in the slipstream, and let's see if he's going to be able to apply some pressure. But Leclerc still in the slipstream. Perez with a good restart as well.
And I got a message here from Max saying, I have no grip, which is exactly what we were seeing in the qualifying for F1 Academy.
Yeah, and the sprint shootout yesterday, everyone was struggling on the soft tyres. No DRS yet. We'll tell you. You'll see when it becomes activated on the monitor. This is Lewis on the back of Magnussen. The two Hasses coming down the back stretch as well. Will there be any sort of manoeuvres? I need one of these mugs as well for in the comms box.
Yeah,
they're good. Yeah, they are. Into the braking zone. Ricciardo, effectively in last year's Red Bull RB19, should be able to hold off Perez quite well here. Come on, Danny Rick. We know what you can do in this one, and let's hope he can carry the momentum throughout the weekend as well. 15 laps to go in the sprint race then. Verstappen with a 1:30.415. He's pulled out a second to Charles Leclerc, which is going to be incredibly crucial as DRS is enabled, and we are now into the sprint race. The DRS zone is at the exit of turn 8. That's on the run down to 9, 10, and the braking zone for 11. So they're coming to it now as Verstappen leads Leclerc. So I don't think many are going to have the DRS here on the board.
According to the transcript, Albon has 5k on Bottas.
That's how much difference is in the contract as it comes down. But I think Gomi as well, we're going to be in a situation where they'll save their tyres up until the last couple of laps.
It does
seem
like
Sergio Perez though is going to be the one with the DRS. And Sergio Perez gaining, and he's going for it.
And he's dive bombed, but has he gone in too late compared to Ricciardo? No! Perez goes through for third, Ricciardo down into fourth place.
Only just noticed Ricciardo is in fourth.
Was third a second ago.
Yes, was third.
What's he had for breakfast?
Well, he did a good qualifying, remember, as well. Fourth on the grid. He's back to where he started.
Was I there?
Yep, you were.
I don't know.
Watch Carlos Sainz as well. Possible
Sainz.
move coming up, maybe.
Second DRS zone, as you know, Omi. And Ricciardo goes... No, he's too late in the braking zone. Unless Sainz really feels suicidal today. Nope, he's not going to throw it.
I think he's good with just only losing the appendix rather than anything else.
If you take a look here at the differential, Megan, it tells you how many places everyone's won and lost at the start of during the race.
Do you know, despite being out first, Stroll is still the person who's lost the most.
Yeah, down 12. Stroll's lost 12 places from where he started as well, so a major one there as well. So as soon as the DRS gets active, Perez deals with Ricciardo. Now we see Sainz having the attack and having the push power, and it's still a 1:30.756 the last lap for Verstappen. Not exactly faster than the 1:30.415 he did in the previous lap, but still Verstappen is pushing harder and harder and harder as they come through. Down the back straight, Ricciardo's going to go defensive here to Carlos Sainz in the braking zone for turn 11. Will he think about a little lunge? Sainz is getting closer and closer into the braking zone though. Ricciardo's defending that inside line. In fact, Ricciardo's attacking Perez again, so that's not even over.
Jeez, he is not wanting to give that up, is he? There's a replay of Sergio Perez making the overtake of Danny Rick.
So he's just going to come from so far back, Omi.
He is as well. Ricciardo tried to close the door. Perez went there anyway, though, late on the brakes and went wide, but was able to take the position there. But Ricciardo doing very well, staying on the back of Perez. So let's see if we can see a fight back here from Ricciardo.
And joining the battle now is Oscar Piastri. Remember, Norris now, yes, it's only a sprint race, but loses out some points. Incident involving Norris has been noted for entering the track on foot. So, the Lewis Hamilton rule.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, DRS open for Ricciardo, having to go defensive. And he can't get through.
Did he enter the track on foot?
He walked across the pit lane track, yeah. So, that's a big no-no. Only just logged in, please don't me to Lando's misfortune. Was it Stroll? It was Stroll.
It was.
It was Stroll, yeah.
We should have won this, he might have better luck.
Oh, and I'll go my notes. Thank you, Megan.
I'll pick them up. Here.
My filing system. And Hulkenberg's had his lap time to leave for track limits.
Your filing system rests on that.
I need to go through that with you and file everything, but you've been busy.
Why do you need me?
You're better at filing.
Not really.
But it was Lewis who started the dive bomb. Yeah, basically, Lewis, if you're just joining us, Hamilton dive bombed the inside at turn 1, who hit Alonso, who hit Stroll, who hit Norris, who hit the house that Jack built.
Basically, he did a Danny Kvyat and became a torpedo.
Yeah, basically, it was similar, wasn't it? Yeah. So that's Lewis Hamilton fired for the next race.
I mean, I think he's got the same impression in his brain that Sainz has recently. Just like, what are you going to do? Fire me?
Yeah, he's not even joining Aston Martin. He's joining Ferrari, of course, next season is Lewis Hamilton. So he's pretty much safe for bet.
I want to know where Sainz is going to go.
It's got to be Audi, or is it Red Bull? We don't know. There's so many things in the second half
So
of the
interesting.
season.
I'd love to see him in a Red Bull again.
So many things could happen. So I'd love to see him in a Red Bull as well.
I don't think Christian Horner can... well, if Max goes to Mercedes, Carlos is the obvious bet. Here's Hamilton's radio.
Very slow, straight. Okay, copy.
I think he is.
That's Lewis Hamilton there, struggling to get through
Nothing
the two
new.
Hasses, yeah. When you're struggling to overtake Haas, I think you have to start... Well, you mentioned at the top of the show, didn't you, Amy, in the pre-show? Is Mercedes a top-tier team?
No.
That's the question. They have only 52 points in the standings. McLaren have 96 at the moment.
If you can't get past the Haas, then either they've got a really good car, which this year it's kind of umming and ahhing sometimes. They're more midfield, I would say, this year.
I think Hamilton finally has a chance.
He's going to pull around the outside line. Magnussen has the inside in towards turn 11 to go defensive. He forces Hamilton wide. Magnussen is doing the good job of being a defensive, and Hamilton can't really do anything about it, unfortunately. So this is just Hamilton stuck. It's a single file track, apart from 3 opportunities for overtaking. And yeah, these involving Norris for entering the track on foot will be investigated after the session.
What is going on with Mercedes? Hamilton can't get past for Haas, and Russell can't get past Kick Sauber.
Yeah. Down to the braking zone for turn 17, flicks the car in, back on the accelerator, gently does it. And that is Bottas with Albon right behind him. Zhou's in there too, under attack from Russell. Hamilton can't seem to find anything. So both Mercedes are currently stuck 9th and 14th outside of the points-paying positions. Points go down to 8th, and currently Haas are going to pick up double points in the F1 sprint race. I think, Omi, as well, oh dear, I think is Mercedes' worry right now after being eliminated in SQ2 yesterday.
And George Russell isn't currently being able to make any progress.
In terms of qualifying and what we learned yesterday and what happened in SQ3, what's the kind of thinking heading into Grand Prix qualifying later? Can you sort out the issue?
I hope so, yeah. I mean, car's been good all weekend, so I've got nothing to complain about. I guess today we paid the price
Magnussen cut the track.
Being back with some of the people who are a bit more careless. So, yeah, kind of the position we put ourselves in by doing a bad job yesterday, and I myself doing a bad job yesterday. So the pace is good, the car's good, and we can still have a great weekend. There's hardly any points for today, so we'll forget about it and move on.
Have a good one.
That's Landon Norris there talking to Craig Slater, and Magnussen cut the track at the chicane.
Have you noticed how it's always the Mercedes nowadays that want to snitch on the other drivers doing something wrong?
Because it's the only way they can overtake.
Yeah.
They're just like, there's a person there doing something bad. It's like, may I help?
Well, halfway there.
Hello.
Hello, JT. What have you been making
Hello.
and watching back there as we see Sainz have a go around the outside of Ricciardo in towards turn 1. He can't get the slipstream, can't get the cut back through either, but he's got a better traction. Yeah, JT, what have you been making? You've been watching at Thruxton. What have you been making in the sprint?
Turn 1 was a bit of a mess, let's be fair.
Yeah.
And, well, that's going to be a slam dunk for Lando Norris for entering the track on foot. And, Josh, note this down. Where I am stood currently, on the inside of Noble, I can see 3/4 of Thruxton.
And that's where I'm going when we go to Thruxton next year. Thank you, JT. Look at Sainz with the DRS activated. He's going to try and pull on that side. He just can't get the traction on me. As this is what we're seeing. You can gain with the DRS, but you can't overtake. So is that a good thing or a bad thing that you can't overtake with the DRS? Because it's forcing drivers to have more overtaking, as it's been noted by the stewards, Magnussen cutting the track.
It's definitely taking some effort for the drivers right now to try and find a way through. So this is going to be an interesting battle, and Ricciardo definitely has a chance of holding on here to this position as we hear from Verstappen.
Balance and deg update, please, Max.
Terrible. 0 grip, like Wally.
And yet he's still 2 seconds ahead to Charles Leclerc. I mean, Verstappen's claiming he's got no grip at all, but he is right there. And yeah, no, I can't. It's just killing my front grip. The rear just doesn't stick. I'm just constantly sliding. So Verstappen's really angry out there. That
But
was
he's also said, okay, that's a no, thanks.
Yeah, that's in the radio transcripts that we've got up here in the commentary box, thanks to Multiviewer as well. So, yeah, look at that, actually. Leclerc is faster compared to Verstappen, but Verstappen's got the constant pace, whereas Leclerc hasn't got that traction.
And has got it at certain corners.
The only hope we have is that Red Bull's tyres fall away a bit more quicker near the end of this one. Hamilton still looking for it on Magnussen, Sainz still looking for it on Ricciardo, and Piastri in there as well. So exactly what we talked about. Piastri and Sainz may have the extra pace to try and find a way through, and now we're right on board with Hamilton, who's going to once again try and get past Magnussen.
That's the braking zone for 11, pulls the outside line. Magnussen, I don't think, can defend him. Lewis cuts back, round the outside, give him room. I think K-Max, down, they made contact! Wheel banging! We were on board and we saw it! Wheel bang from Hamilton, he got a massive understeer. Magnussen stays ahead. Brilliant defensive driving, and Magnussen had every right to wheel bang Hamilton.
Magnussen's really been defending quite a bit lately in the last few rounds and trying to defend. He's going to have to do it once again. The Hamilton's once again got DRS.
10-second time penalty for Kevin Magnussen for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. I'm sorry.
A bit excessive.
That is very excessive, and that's not right. He didn't gain an advantage.
He's
didn't do
got
anything.
Ocon. You can't just put 10-second time penalties onto him
And
constantly.
Sainz goes round the outside of Ricciardo into turn
Here comes
one.
Sainz.
Ricciardo pushes him off, and here comes Piastri to try and take fourth. Wow!
Come on,
Hamilton has been noted for speeding in the pit lane.
This is quite good.
And now Hamilton, well, under the safety car. Hamilton's been noted for speeding under the safety car in the pit lane.
That does explain one of the radio messages.
Oh.
So this is Magnussen on the rear wing. There's Hamilton's radio.
Yeah, just drove into me. Copy, yeah, we got that on video.
Yes, here's finally the off-board. Well, I'd say Hamilton forced him off the track there. Okay, I think that might be Magnussen deserving of a penalty there for causing contact. As now we see Piastri trying to go on the outside of Sainz. Ricciardo's holding on for fourth position quite well, but now it's just all hell breaking loose, and Magnus has been noted again for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. That could be a further 10-second time penalty, as we see Hamilton is now under investigation for speeding in the pit lane, and Magnus is under investigation again for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So it could be 20 seconds, he says. He's on course for a black flag here.
So, Lewis, we called that karma. That's karma for turn one.
That's tomorrow.
That too. Tomorrow you get it twice.
Magnussen is under investigation again for leaving a track and gaining advantage for a third time. 3 different investigations for Kevin Magnussen.
He's going to end up with like 20 seconds.
Well, he's got 20. I think he might have 20. He might have 30. If he gets 3 warnings, it'll be a black flag. So, and that's Magnussen and Hamilton again coming to blows.
Stay away from him, K-Mac.
The story of the sprint race is Lewis Hamilton and Kevin Magnussen for the second time this season coming to blows and having almighty ding-dongs over the last points-paying position. Right now, Hamilton will have it because of Magnussen's penalties, but it could be Yuki Tsunoda who inherits 8th position and gets the final point from the sprint, as Hamilton again looks on the inside at turn 7 and 8 and can't get ahead. And now Magnussen will literally slow up. Hamilton has the DRS down to turn 11. These two are going to end up in a big accident if they're not careful.
Perez has perfect balance, by the way, compared to Max.
Hamilton at the inside line. Magnussen thinks about shutting the door. Hamilton backs out, not wanting to do anything, and here comes Yuki Tsunoda for a perfect position. So Yuki's coming into it now as well, and Hamilton's getting very risky. Magnussen's lifting him off, and Magnussen's pushing Hamilton into the clutches of Tsunoda.
Jeez, the RPs really want points.
This is unbelievable, and here comes Gasly as well, and Sargent on the soft tyres, remember. He could get 8th place here.
He could.
Magnussen's had his lap time deleted.
Here comes Joe Guan Yu as well.
Oh, this is just getting insane over the last points-paying position.
It's not a good day for Magnussen.
No, Magnussen's, he's just backing everybody up now as well. There's a move further back as well. I think Russell and Albon, and black and white flag for Magnussen. Magnussen with a black and white flag for track limits. Now that is big news because they've black and white flagged him for that. If he gets another penalty, it triggers the black flag.
Why would they need that? What I've just seen from K-Mag's radio transcript. Safety car window is now available. What are you planning?
So, if you get it all, there'll be a penalty. See? That's what we've just been told. So, Magnus has been warned now on the radio as we ride on board with Carlos Sainz, who's hurtling down towards turn 9 and 10, down to 11, the braking zone, trying to get ahead of Danny Ricciardo. Can't seem to do anything now, but you can see on the driver tracker the gap as Magnus is just defending Hülkenberg again. So, Haas using the strategy that they used in Saudi Arabia, and Hamilton's not standing for it anymore. Right round the outside, but Magnus is not giving up, and they both go off the track, until Tsunoda goes through. Tsunoda's round the outside of Hamilton. That's crucial for the last point. Tsunoda's not giving up, but Tsunoda goes through. Magnussen forced them both off the track. Magnussen keeps 8th, but he has the penalty. Tsunoda takes 8th, and the last points paid position. Hamilton down to 10th, and Magnussen forced them both off the track there.
That's not going to be another penalty, is it?
What on earth? It would be another penalty. Magnussen, this is the tactic they used in Saudi Arabia. Magnussen had the penalty and will just let everybody else go. Look at that, another one now. Magnussen is going to be a black flag. Push me off the track.
This is a bit of a mess, isn't it?
It's a very big mess. Cast me aside, how about that? Is basically what Kevin Magnussen said. Look at this. Look, Hamilton's going to go around the outside, which was admittedly a bit dangerous, and K-Man's going to go, okay, I'll just dive bomb and trail break you.
Pedal. And then
Tsunoda goes, thank you very much, Lewis, for the early birthday present, and I'll get the last point.
Oh, when's his birthday?
No, just saying, well, actually, when is Tsunoda's birthday? I can tell you here, it's on my monitor. 11th of May, early birthday present, yeah.
Oh.
Wait, 11th of... Is there a race next... hold on, why am I asking this?
Berlin is the next one for Formula E next weekend.
So technically that can be an early birthday present.
A point in the sprint, yeah. And Magnussen's down to 10th. Magnussen's down to 10th position. Hamilton and Tsunoda have got past him, and now Hamilton's going round the outside of Tsunoda into turn 11. Magnusen's dropped back.
Stay away from you, King.
Yeah, where did that happen? Where did Magnussen lose out? And now Hamilton's all over the back of Tsunoda. And Hamilton's struggling for rear grip. He's sliding everywhere. Tsunoda's now going to have to hold on for 4 or 5 more laps.
Come on, Lewis. Yuki deserves this point. Just leave him alone.
Position 3. Bravo 10, position 3. So they've told him that's enough because Hülkenberg is now 6 seconds ahead to Tsunoda in this little battle here. So Hülkenberg is safe for the end of the race. Now Magnussen can just accept his penalty and drop back as we see Albon and Russell battling over 14th and 15th position as well. I wonder when Russell thought about moving to Mercedes that he'll be still battling a Williams.
Same Williams.
And look at that! Russell going defensive and Albon's going to send him around the outside! Oh, come on, Alex! This is going to be fantastic. If Alex can do a move on Russell in a race, I think the entire... Oh, look at that, leaving the track and getting the advantage. And another penalty for Magnussen. A 10-second time penalty.
And right after that...
And another investigation. So Magnussen gets an investigation and another penalty. So it's 20 seconds now for Kevin Magnussen. A further 10-second time penalty for leaving the track and getting the advantage.
How many points does that mean he has?
But immediately after that as well, can I just point out, the stewards again said that there's another investigation.
How many points would that give him on the licence?
Must be nearly 12,
This
which
is
is
wild.
the penalty. Magnussen might be banned.
The most we've had is 10.
Alonso, knock on wheel to wheel.
Yeah, and Magnussen's had a lap time deleted, so has Hamilton, so we might be getting some information from the stewards here shortly about these penalties coming through.
I kind of hope it's no further investigation, but it's not going that way today.
This race is electrifying. 3 to go.
Oh my God.
Incident involving Magnussen has been noted for track limits. It could be a further penalty now.
Go make it 4.
And Magnussen is now under investigation for track limits.
Oh my God.
So there is now 4 investigations for Magnussen. 2 of those have already resulted in penalties. And there is now a further 2 investigations for Kevin Magnussen. This could be a black flag from a sprint race.
Wow.
Kevin Magnussen is about to become the most penalised driver in Formula 1. That race currently held by Esteban Ocon, who had 5 penalties. That didn't result in a black flag. Magnussen's got 4 in 17 laps.
Funny thing is, he didn't even start getting them until lap 12.
And they're all just catching up. Now look at Hamilton on the back of Tsunoda. Hamilton's pushing like crazy as they're coming through, but all our eyes are on the timing screens and the data chart, which from race control sends their messages through.
I think we all have one question. K-Mag, are you okay?
Yeah.
I'm loving it there.
An appropriate SMB would be coming through.
Just words through the transcript saying, help.
Here's Daniel Ricciardo looking in his mirrors to keep an eye on Carlos Sainz, who is 7/10 back at the moment. We haven't even talked about Verstappen's leading by 2.5 seconds.
That's old news.
Despite the fact he's got no grip. Just proves to you how much that Red Bull has the power.
He's Max. He could be doing donuts right now and not lose.
Yeah, that's true. This is penultimate lap. I want them to black flag Magnussen. I know it's awful, but I want them to do it.
Chaos.
I want them to do it.
I want them to do it as well.
But then he's not in the race.
No, actually, that's a point. Does he get black flagged from the sprint, or does he get black flagged from the entire weekend? That's the question.
Weekend, I would say.
Because if you get black flagged, it's usually goodbye, go home. You disqualify for the whole weekend. So we will see whether or not they have to black flag Kevin Magnussen.
He'll be the first person to get a black flag in a sprint.
First person to get a black flag since Giancarlo Fisichella and Felipe Massa in 2007, I believe, at the Canadian Grand Prix when they went through a red light at the end of the pit lane.
The only one to get close to that, it was
Ocon.
10 points.
Oh, here comes Sainz. Ricciardo's going incredibly defensive.
He is. He doesn't want to let Sainz have any sniff of a late dive bomb, especially when we're in the final stages. So Ricciardo may just hold on.
Yeah, he's going to hold on for 4th place where he started, which would be an amazing effort for that RB. Or is it VCARB now? Because now it's VCARB on the monitors here in the commentary box to tell us that. But yeah, it's coming in strong. Ocon has passed Alonso for 18th position further back on the track as well. They've all grouped together still.
I think Alonso might have made a mistake, possibly.
Yeah, must have. As we on to the final lap of the sprint race here. Of
course he has.
For in Miami.
He's just announced his plans on a radio about wanting to do something to overtake Ocon, and they've just gone in Alpine. It's like, okay, so Esteban, this is happening with Fernando.
Hulkenberg is safe enough. He's not going to be caught by Tsunoda. The gap's 6 seconds still as well, so that's good. Ricciardo and Piastri, those going to be under attack from Sainz in 5th position. So Sainz, is still going to hold it back here as they come through. Still got nothing from the stewards. I think this might be post-race, so we'll bring you any updates in the qualifying show we've got coming up later on today, as it's involving Hamilton is under investigation for speeding in the pit lane.
Alonso, why are you pitting?
So Hamilton is under, and Alonso's out of the race. Alonso is out of the sprint race.
Funny thing is, I don't think he is. I think he's just pitting. Why are you pitting? What point does that serve?
Alonso is out. Alonso is out for the 2nd sprint race running. Alonso is out of the race, and now Sainz is under attack on Ricciardo, and Piastri's in there too for a 3-way battle for 4th. Hamilton is under investigation for speeding in the pit lane during the safety car.
Whose idea was this to pit Alonso?
I don't know. Where's Verstappen?
Oh, Hamilton's passed Tsunoda.
Hamilton's passed Tsunoda for 8th place. That's the last points paying position. But if Hamilton gets a penalty, Tsunoda can still get it.
Okay, I kind of hope he gets a penalty now.
Max Verstappen, though, is going to dominate again. It's 2 sprint races and 3 wins in Miami. Max Verstappen wins the sprint race. Charles Leclerc will be in 2nd position. Sergio Perez is in 3rd, but Ricciardo's holding on for 4th. He's holding on brilliantly, valiantly. Daniel Ricciardo is in 4th place in the sprint. Sainz 5th. Piastri is 6th. Hulkenberg gets points for Haas in 7th. Hamilton will be in 8th position, but whether he'll keep it will be a question as he's under investigation by the stewards. Tsunoda 9th, provisionally could be 8th. Magnussen 10th, but under investigation. Gasly, followed by Sargent, Zhou, Russell, Albon, Bottas, Ocon, Alonso. And then out, Stroll and Norris. Well done, Ricciardo. Man of the sprint. Up to started 4th, stayed 4th. Brilliant. I mean, that was insane.
What an insane sprint race that was. Yes, maybe the winner absolutely dominated. But we expected that, but it was chaos behind.
Max, first win of the weekend done. Well done, good result.
Yeah, good win. Need to fine-tune the balance a bit, probably, and the race tomorrow, but good points.
Not bad, Megan.
I thought it was very intriguing, not happy with the start.
Yeah.
And I think that if Hamilton gets a penalty...
Magnussen has been given a 5-second time penalty for track limits.
Does that mean...
Yeah, Lewis is going to get a penalty here as well. So that's 25 seconds worth of penalties.
But that's a third penalty.
That means it should be a further penalty coming through. It will trigger more things here as well.
Oh, geez, he's having a tougher weekend than Ocon, mate.
There's your sprint winner, Max Verstappen. We'll hear from him shortly on the grid. They did tell him, didn't they? Because Max is coming around by an almighty cracker. Yeah, they told him.
Have I told him?
Yeah. To the grid. That set my hands off massive. Look at that. Bumps on my fingers.
Stress.
Yeah.
Do you know what? If Lewis gets a penalty, it'll be kind of karma, since I genuinely think he should have got a penalty for causing a start collision.
Yeah, he should have.
Though it would be like karma.
Do you mind if I sit down? No, good.
Joshua?
Lewis and Kevin Magnussen has received a further 10-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining advantage.
35 seconds.
35 seconds worth of penalties and 4 penalties in one sprint race.
From the same man!
Now, is that going to trigger anything with a black flag? That's the question.
It should.
Is this just Haas's manner this year? Just go hell for leather and see what happens.
He's taking his father's approach.
Jan Magnussen would have...
You say I drive like him.
Yeah.
On F1 games.
You do it, actually. And Lewis Hamilton has been given a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Yuki Tsunoda will get the last points-paying position in 8th place.
Well, how's that going to work?
It will be a drive-through penalty converted to a time penalty of 30 seconds.
So basically he's getting almost as much of a penalty as Magnussen.
Which gives it the same for what happened earlier on.
Right.
So, yeah, that's effectively now balanced out the universe. This was Sainz taking the flag. What did Sainz do? Sainz giving a thumbs up to Danny Ricker after the flag.
Aww.
Good sportsmanship. I'm beginning to really love Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, Appendix is really he's getting even better. And I think he's also had a tough time.
Here's Ricardo Vettel.
Let's go, baby! Woo!
Can you do this, please? Oh.
No.
Okay. Oh, such a clean race, man. Such a clean race. Clean laps all the way through.
I prefer it at the front. Oh, that was fun. Thanks. Nice, guys.
Oh, we prefer him at the front.
Yeah, go beep beep.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with Sainz recently, though he's gotten so much better, especially ever since he's heard that he's leaving Ferrari.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why they're making him leave.
Can we please have a Brazil 2022 and have Kevin Magnussen on pole?
Let's hear from James Hinchcliffe talking to the sprint winners.
And here we are with the sprint race winner in Miami, Max Verstappen. Congrats on another victory in this format. But talk us through it. It looked like the start may have been a little bit of a slow getaway. You had to really push Charles there into turn 1. How tight was it between you two?
Yeah, I think my engagement wasn't good in the start. So then, of course, I had to squeeze him a bit. Luckily, everything worked out in turn 1. Then, of course, we had the safety car just to calm things down a little bit. But after that, steadily we could increase the gap a little bit, but it wasn't entirely perfect. So we still have a bit of work to do. At least now with the new format, we can still fine-tune the car a little bit. So hopefully we can improve it a little bit for later on in qualifying and especially for tomorrow in the race. But a win is good. I'm happy with that, and it gives us a good few points to look at as well, to improve.
Yeah, points are always nice to add to the card. Now, look, we had a massive victory margin in the sprint race in China. It wasn't quite as big, so what kind of information did you gather today that you can apply for the race tomorrow?
Yeah, China felt really good. I mean, the car was really, really nice to drive. Here, it was a bit more difficult for me, so there are a few more things to improve.
Well, job's only half done. Good luck in qualifying this afternoon.
Well, he's not been happy, has he, with the car? It was still a routine victory by Max Verstappen standards, but
Charles
not
Leclerc
with
in
the
the
car that he
beautiful
fancies. Let's go
blue
back to
Ferrari
Charles
this
Leclerc.
weekend. Great result, P2 in the sprint. Lots of fans here in Miami cheering on Mr. Leclerc. Why don't you talk us through that start first? It looked like you got a great launch and really challenged Max into turn 1.
Yeah, I had quite a good start, and then I was in the inside of turn 1. Obviously, I didn't want to take too many risks because we've got also qualifying later on, and if you have a crash in sprint quali, then you probably don't participate later on. So I tried to end there. We both brake very, very late with Max, but eventually he got to keep the position, and then I was pushing very hard, but in the first 3 laps, they had a bit more pace. Then we had a similar degradation, so tomorrow it's a long race, so qualifying will be important to be starting as much in front as possible, and then hopefully we can put them under pressure with the strategy.
Well, let's talk about qualifying then. It's coming up here. Job's not done yet today, right? But you were so close yesterday. What was learned yesterday, and maybe even a little bit today in the sprint, that you think you could apply to maybe fight for pole this afternoon?
Yeah, it was obviously very close yesterday. Not many laps in FP1, so hopefully now with the sprint race, I got a bit more laps around this track, and I hope we can target for the pole position. So that's the target. Then let's see if we manage to achieve that.
All right. Well, great race today, and best of luck this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's hear from Sergio Perez. He finished in 3rd place in the sprint race.
Check out P3 today. Looked like a bit of a quiet event for you. You got through the mess in turn 1, and then it was sort of running your own race.
Yeah, it was really hard to get through Daniel in the beginning, and once I get through, I got through it quite quickly. But I was 3 seconds from Charles, and given the short duration of the race, it was pretty tricky. I was like getting within 2 seconds, 1.8, but then it was quite hard to get a little bit closer. So anyway, let's look forward for the rest of the weekend.
Checo, when you came out here, one of the biggest cheers from the crowd. What's it like racing here in Miami? You've got a ton of supporters. How about this crowd here today?
Yeah, the fans are amazing. It's really nice to be here with all of them, and I really hope I can give them a great race of the weekend.
How about qualifying? What do you think you got tomorrow or this afternoon?
Yeah, I think we will be able to be strong, so I definitely look forward to it.
Well, either way, you're number 1 in the fans' hearts for sure. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What a race that was, and we've got more to come. We've got qualifying up later. Let's confirm the race results to you as they've now been docked down. Max Verstappen is victorious, and it's Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez top 3, Ricciardo, Sainz 4th and 5th, Piastri, Hülkenberg, Tsunoda, Gasly, Sargent the top 10, Zhou, Russell, Albon, Bottas, Ocon, Hamilton, Alonso, Magnussen, and then out with Stroll and Norris. The medals now being presented to the drivers with the plaques. Gold for Max Verstappen, silver for Charles Leclerc, bronze for Sergio Perez. For some reason, Sky don't think we deserve to see that on the feed. So, yeah, that's great as well. Omi, coming to you then. What did you make of that sprint race as well and going into qualifying later?
It was definitely a thrilling race. Now, we of course would expect Max to be winning, and we did get Max winning, but the gap was closer than China. So a little bit more hope if Ferrari and Leclerc, who's been doing a bit of magic with his tyres and strategy in the last few rounds, if he can maybe try something tomorrow, that could be a little bit interesting as well. But the battling behind was extraordinary. The midfield teams battling for every single opportunity to get points, and Haas bringing in their A game as well, with Magnussen going on the ultra defensive, squeezing out and pushing out everyone. And yeah, it would be interesting if we get Magnussen on pole, him and Verstappen both scrapping, and Magnussen just trying to defend, and he could defend for a good few laps. So it would be very fun for us to watch.
It's going to be absolutely amazing when we get going. We'll be back in about an hour's time for the action from F1 Academy. Jess and Megan talking you through that. And then we'll be back for qualifying later on this evening at 8:45 p.m. British Summer Time for all of the action. But thanks to Omi and thanks to Megan, Josh T and Thruxton. And we'll see you all soon. Max Verstappen victorious, though, in the sprint. It's time now for F1 Academy. See you soon. Bye-bye.